And now we go to the next presentation, and now we have from Spain, Paula Perez Fraga. She is a vet in our PhD student. She makes part of our Neuroethology of Communication Research Group. In her PhD, she is studying the social and communicative behaviors of family dogs and family pigs. Yeah, that's right, pigs. So today she is going to present a study that she has recently published about how dogs and pigs approach their owners in a different environment, a new environment. So please welcome Paula on dogs are men's, while pigs are only their owner's best friend.
Hi, thanks Cecilia for your lovely presentation, and thanks to everyone for staying this late in this evening of Saturday. So I'm going to share my presentation now. Do you hear me good? Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, do you see it now? Good?
Yes.
Okay, so as Cecilia said, my name is Paula, and I'm going to present you today a study that we have recently published that is part of my PhD. In my PhD, we are studying how dogs and pigs communicate with their owners. So first of all, you might think, why pigs? Why are they interesting at all? Well, I could spend here like 1 hour telling you how cool pigs are. But for us, what is important is that they give a very good species for making comparisons with family dogs. Why? Because as dogs, pigs are also group living and highly social animals. They also had a domestication, although it was like a different purpose. Their domestication was also in close contact with humans, similarly as dogs. They have a very rich communicative repertoire. They are a super communicative species. And last but not least, now they are popular pets, companion animals. And in some houses, they occupy a similar role as family dogs. So about the study that I'm going to present today. Well, this study is based in a very basic study that is called Voluntary Animal Approach Test that has been widely used under farm conditions, so in farm research. Why? This test has been done for assessing how animals approach humans, because, well, animals can approach humans for a lot of reasons, but it is assumed that when animals approach humans, they are less scared, they are more social. The test looks like this. There is a passive human in a room and an animal that is left free to approach. And when the animal approaches, we can measure how fast they approach, how long they stay near the humans, and other behaviors as vocal behavior, physical contact. So what about our species in this type of test? Well, we know from farm research that pigs are in generally motivated to approach humans. We also know from pigs in farms and also in labs that pigs can recognize familiar over unfamiliar humans. And what about dogs? Well, we all know that dogs from a very early age, they seek human proximity. Although they rapidly differentiate the owner and they prefer the owner over unfamiliar humans, they are in general sociable with any type of humans. And also dogs with limited exposure to humans have been shown to seek human proximity. So our aim for this study was, first of all, have data about pigs in house conditions or in family conditions, because all of the data that we had was from pigs from farms. So our first aim was to assess if family pigs that live with humans, seek for the proximity of their owners in a novel environment, similarly as family dogs do. So we questioned whether intense human socialization induced similar behaviors towards the caregiver and other humans in pigs as in dogs. How we did this? Well, first of all, we tested 9 small young mini pigs and 12 pups of around 4 months old. We presented them in a preference choice paradigm. What is this? This is a similar test of the one that I have explained. It's the same, but the difference is that we put 2 options. So the animal was free to approach any of these options. Which were these options? First of all, we pair the caregiver with an object that was familiar for the animal. It was their food bowl, so it was an object that means food. And in the other condition, we pair the caregiver with the stranger. And the animal could be free to approach any of these choices. How? So what the animal could do is approach the caregiver, approach the stranger, the object, or they could just be far away from any of the choices. I will show you now. This is a piggy in a caregiver object condition. So the test looked like this. The owner was passive, and we could measure the duration and the physical contact of the animal with the owner. And this is a pup, a border collie pup, in a stranger caregiver condition. And it was the same. We tested duration, physical contact, and other behaviors. Okay, so let's take a look into the results. We had like different results from this test, but I selected those that I think that are the most important. So don't be overwhelmed with the data, because I'm going to explain it to let you know which were the main important things. What I'm going to explain is the time near the caregiver, so the duration of the time that both animals, both species, spend near the caregiver. The time in physical contact, so how much time the animal spent touching. The time away, so the time that they were far away, and the preference. So given the two choices, which one they preferred. First of all, let's see the time near the caregiver. In the y-axis, you have the time, and in the x, you're going to see always the conditions and the animals. You see in blue dogs, and in pink, of course, the pigs. So here in the y-axis, what is measured is the time near the caregiver. During the caregiver condition, so when the caregiver was paired with a stranger, we found no differences between the animals. So both pigs and dogs spend similar time next to their caregiver. In the caregiver object condition, the same, no difference. But interestingly, both species spent more time near the caregiver when the caregiver was paired with an object, both dogs and pigs. So we assume that they prefer social rather than food stimuli. The second result, the physical contact, so the time that they were touching. Again, in the y-axis, the time touching the caregiver. In the first condition, caregiver-stranger condition, we found no differences. But in the caregiver object conditions, pigs tended to touch more the caregiver. So what does it mean? That they not only spend more time near to the caregiver, but they were interacting with them. And what does it mean? So we wonder if they do interact with humans in similar way as they interact with other pigs, because pigs uses physical interactions for communicating among them and for social recognition. So this is a pig, skinny pig, touching their owner. They use a lot of their snow for social recognition, and they also climb into the owner's lap, which means that it's a behavior that means high affinity for the handler. The time that they spend away, so far away from both choices. During the caregiver object condition, no differences. But during the caregiver stranger condition, pigs spend more time away. So when there were two humans in the room, pigs tended to be far away from those. What this means that pigs might have been a bit scared of them, or a bit mild stress with the presence of a stranger in the room. The last result is the preference. So we build a preference index. That it means that we have the two choices and what I prefer. The first one is the preference for the caregiver. So next to the 1, you will see always like the caregiver. Next to the -1 is the other choices. So what have we found? That during the caregiver object condition, so when the caregiver was paired with an object, both animals, pigs and dogs, show a high preference for the owner. But as we are also curious researchers, we wonder what happened with humans in general. So we wanted to know if both animals prefer to be near to both humans or away. So we built another preference index in which we compare being near to any human or being far away. And interestingly, what we found is that only dogs and not pigs show a general preference for being near both humans, so being near to the stranger and being near to the caregiver. So, what have we learned with all this data? We learned that the caregiver might have a similar important role for both pigs and dogs when they face a new environment. Also, that social stimuli seems of high incentive value for both species because they always prefer the human over the object. We also found some species difference in human-oriented behavior. As you remember, pigs tended to display more touching behavior, more physical contact behavior than dogs. And the last, and let's say that this is the wrap up of the study, is that living in human family seems that it's not enough for developing a general preference for being near to all humans. Species-specific characteristics, so for example, that humans are in general more natural as social stimuli for dogs, and also because of domestication, dogs have now a longer socialization period in which they can include humans as normal stimuli. So these species-specific characteristics weigh in for developing this preference for being near humans. So this is our study published in scientific reports. I want to thank first of all to all my colleagues, my supervisors, and of course all the pigs and their families, because they are the ones that make this possible always. And of course, I want to thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Very interesting to see these differences. I have a question. So do you think that pigs, okay, they show preference for their owners?
Yeah.
Do you think they would generalize to individuals that they recognize as family? So if we try to differentiate between dogs that belong to the family or stranger dogs, do you think they would show this preference too? Or
You
no,
mean
it's
pigs?
just for humans?
You
Yes,
mean
pigs.
Well, you know, like the problem with pigs is like, of course, it would be like very interesting to put like a kind of specific and a human, because in dogs we have done this research before, and dogs are very motivated to approach human, even over kind of specific. Problem with pigs is that because of their social structure, so how they communicate with each other, it's very difficult to put the different pigs in a room and think that they are not going to fight, because pigs have a very high tendency to show aggression when they meet with a stranger. So maybe it could be nice to do it with very familiar pigs. So maybe pigs that have been kept as family pets together, like two brothers, and see how is this preference with the owner. That could be good, yes.
Thank you very much. We have one more question from Peter. Thank you for your presentation. What specific source would you recommend to find out more? Oops, somebody changed it here, just a second. Okay, so the question is, what specific source would you recommend to find out more about pigs' coolness?
About pig coolness?
Yeah.
Well, I think that, I don't know, I think that nowadays we are like generating a lot of research about family pet pigs. So this is why I think that we are starting to see how these pigs, how these animals behave as pets. So this is why I think that we are starting to see this coolness, what I said, because we can see how they interact with the owners, how they play at home, and how they learn. It's very interesting. So I think that if you just Google around, you could see a lot of mini piggy coolness.
Okay, another question from Megan. Were the pig participants socialized with other pigs too? Or were most all of their previous interactions with humans?
Well, very nice question, thanks. So these pigs, until the age of 2 months or 8 weeks, they have been living together with their mothers, more or less between 6 and 8 weeks, all of them. Then they moved to their foster with their family, to their human family, and since that moment they have been only in contact with humans, so no other people. So they are highly human socialized. And you have to think that we have made this test when the pigs were 4 months. So they have, I mean, it was only like 2 months since they moved. What will be very interesting for the future, and we are of course like doing and thinking, is like see how these social behaviors for humans develop with time in pigs, as we did in dogs.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
And just the last thing, if anyone has any doubts, suggestions, or if you have a pig with a very cool behavior and you want to show me, just please write me, look for me. I'm very happy to answer all your questions.
Sure.